Welcome to another exciting feature of Film Sessions. I'm here with Joe Alloy.
What's up?
All right, we're going to get into it. So, let's find out. Where did we leave off last? We covered in the first episode the debut that was November of 2003. Then we did my first loss in Macon. As you guys know, that one hurt. That was in February 2004. And 12 weeks later, I fought in another four-man tournament, fighting twice in that night. And that's where I cut to 135 pounds for a same-day weigh-in, and it was miserable. And I got a $75 belt to show for it. So that was cool. Go listen to those, or watch those, rather. And it's cool to kind of follow the journey. So here we go. We're speeding forward. What is that, 6 weeks?
Yep.
To June 25th, 2004, where I fight Gavin Murray. Now, I wanted to stay active. Okay, before my first two fights, I broke my arm. I was training, and then I don't think that my dad liked me training very much. So he was like, you mind if I come by and, watch you guys train? And he had a kickboxing background, wrestling background, all that stuff. I think he wanted to try to get the scoop on who was trying to get his son to fight. So he comes a couple times, then he starts training, and then he's like, let's go. He's 250 pounds, mind you, and I'm 144 pounds. And didn't have too much striking experience, and he kicked me in my arm with his 250-pound leg.
Mm-hmm.
Broke my arm. And I said, my arm's broken. And so he worked at the hospital at the time and took me into the back of the ER, and they did because there was like a big wait. And so we were just like, let's get him in and out. They took one image. Dr. Reddit said it wasn't broken. So this whole time, I'm just telling myself that there's nothing wrong with my arm and that I'm a little bitch. And it's just a bone contusion. That's all it is. So I've already fought 5 fights. And this is the last fight that I fight before getting surgery on my arm, where they had to pull a bone from my hip and fuse it together and plates and screws and all that kind of stuff. So after that fight in Virginia, those fights in Virginia, I wanted to get back right away because I knew that this thing was going to have to get fixed, and it would be soon. So I end up getting somehow on, I think it was the Underground. We were talking about with Matt Waller how that's how fights were found, and Bubby had mentioned that too. And this opportunity came up from this guy, Joe Ancona. And so this is the same night that Bubby fought his debut, his amateur debut. So you guys can go back and you can watch that film session. It's where I do my debut and Bubby does his debut. And he's talking about the experience of getting there. We're in this facility and talking about smelling the alcohol in the referee's breath. That's that guy, Christian, Ultimate Fighter 3 alum. And it was different. We're on that ring. It's a little bit bigger than the floor. It's not like a massive ring. And the promoter is over the intercom. They're playing music. It's smoky in there. The promoter's talking shit to the guys. He's like, oh, and he's just killing them. So the guy's getting beat up and he's just talking shit. Yeah. And I've never been in an environment like this before nor since. This was called the Main Event.
What was
Louisiana. Oh, this is amateur. So I'm
nothing.
fighting for free.
Yeah.
But they had full rules. But I was real nervous for this because the kid was 16 years old. And it's like, man, I think I'm good for an amateur. For an amateur, I'm good.
And
I'm
you're 20?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, this is 2004,
right.
We just said. And it's June 2004, so 20. Yeah. I just turned 20. And I've got 5 fights, and there's this kid who's 0-1. He lost to a stud, though. Come on. Pull up a chair. Pull up a mic. Or maybe not. But the kid's 16 years old, and he lost to this guy whose name was Billy Kid, and his nickname was The. So
my God.
This guy, Gavin Murray, fought and lost to Billy the Kid, who was a 5-0 amateur at the time or something like that. So it's like his only loss was against a stud. And then he agrees to take me on. So I'm like, this has got to be some sort of prodigy whiz kid.
Yeah.
And the promoter is also he also trains at the promoter's gym.
Okay.
So I'm like, this promoter's got some faith in this kid that this kid's good. And I'm being set up, and this kid's going to be the next BJ Penn or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was really nervous for this one. Not so much in the back, but in the preparation. Because I'm just sitting there like, why is this 16-year-old man-child going to fight me? It just doesn't make sense.
Do you have film on him and stuff like that?
Oh, no.
No.
He had the one bout. That was it. And, yeah, this is not – we talked about that. This is not the film era.
Yeah.
So show up, and we're staying at the dorm or whatever that's in the gym. And me and Bubby and Blake were crashing there, and my coach makes the drive out later.
This is the same place that you guys stood outside
Well,
in the parking lot because you couldn't get back in.
Well, Bubby and Blake stood outside in the parking lot
Gotcha,
trying to get into that place. I looked at them standing outside from my window. So
goes right along with the emo haircut.
yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I was gonna run out and do a flying knee, and then this kid gives me like one of these. Gives me this little like, oh, I'm gonna touch gloves. When what's fucked up is I told him I'm not touching gloves. Mm-hmm. Now it was normally something I did, but because of that tension that I felt, and because like I said, I was kind of nervous about this kid. I was like, I'm just gonna let's get to it right away and find out who's the better man.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna come out and throw a flying knee and try to just like get this over with, like how Masvidal knocked out Askren. Like that was like my goal, and. Oh, that's just painful. You know what I mean?
But you're a good sport. You touched his glove.
Yeah. Mad as hell. All right, we got some sort of like multi-cam. Boom. Got him with a good knee.
And you're what, 145?
Yes. And I was just all forward. And he kind of catches me there with a hook, forcing us to clinch. Double underhooks, keep my hips back. And there's the Haragoshi.
How tall is this kid?
Oh, yeah. That's nice. I almost re-rolled myself. I think he's 5'9", like the normal weight of like a 45er.
Oh, that's brutal. Both hooks in.
The rodeo.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, you've seen that meme here lately of the dude at the ballpark, and he's got the glasses on, and he's like talking about that. That's what that reminds me of. Maybe Cooter over here can pull that photo up and intertwine that into the video. We gotta have that. Make that happen. Like, take that and put that over that guy's face. Yeah, this is just a beatdown right now. And at this point, my nerves have gone away. I was like, oh, you just feel somebody. You guys know. Yeah. When you're grappling somebody, you know the moment you grab them, you're like, all right, like, check. This guy's going to be legit. Or two, it's like, oh, I had nothing to worry about the whole time. Yeah. The same thing in fighting. Like, when you start fighting, it's like, okay, I realize now that I had made this out to be a bigger deal than I thought. And that this promoter is actually just crucifying this 16-year-old boy to this other guy. Yeah. You see, I had an ankle wrap. I don't know why. Oh, so heavy Sakuraba influence here. just trying to box the ears up because I
Yeah.
hated people holding me like that. Ugh. This is just bad.
I like the referee's sideburns too.
And that was it.
And that was it. Poor Gavin Murray. Gavin Murray never fought again. Ever. He lost to Billy the Kid, who had a 9-0 amateur record and had a bunch of pro wins, and then Cole Miller. Never fought again.
He could have went pro.
You know what? If he would have had a manager and promoter that cared about him and groomed him and trained him, he might have could have went pro. He might have could have made it to the big show. But he didn't have that. He had a guy that was crucifying him.
Oh yeah.
Now I know that we don't like to do the sound too much because it sounds kind of raunchy, but I think this is one where we gotta do it. We gotta do it because just gives you the experience. Let's see if it works.
I'll overlay the sound.
Yeah, turn the sound up on the.
No, thank
The
you.
video.
You see that? That's why they pay you the big bucks.
We're getting paid for this?
Well, no sound.
Yeah.
No sound. Doesn't matter. But Bubby was talking about how, he had his win, and man, Bubby just murked that guy, and he was on fire. And so him and Blake, they were trying to get in that nightclub across the street afterward, 3 or 4 in the morning. And you know what I was doing? I was being emo. That this guy didn't give me the battle I was longing for. It's kind of sad for me to have ridden that way out there and just didn't get what I came for.
Did you get that? A lot of fighters talk about especially early on in their career, they can go, in training they can go 12 rounds, no problem, and roll for 2 hours, no problem, and they get in one, 3-minute round and they're exhausted afterwards because that adrenaline dumps off.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get that early on?
Never. Not even one time. I felt like I could have fought 8 times in a day.
Yeah.
The way we trained was it was still we still trained like NHB guys did. You just set the clock for all right, okay, we'll do some 5-minute rounds today or some 4-minute rounds today, kind of like a fight. Or, all right, guys, we're going to do 30-minute rounds. Or, all right, guys, set it for an hour. Okay, we're going to set it for 2 hours today. And you just train like that. So whatever the coach said you were going to do, you just kind of did. So I never felt like that. I felt like after high output like that and just bursts, I never felt like I was tired.
Gotcha.
I felt like I could fight 8 dudes a day. Me and Michael were talking about that, how you get all scientific with your training, but then I see what I did with none of that back then. And of course, I was much younger. And there's something in the mind, if you believe that you can do anything, well, then you can do anything.
Yeah.
Still the no holds barred era too.
Yeah. It was in the bridge of the gap. Yeah.
That was you think about what was happening in the UFC and all that, right? At the time,
Pre-Ultimate Fighter. This is pretty tough.
That's right. Pat Miletich, his crew, had all the championships back then.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people that come up in that era had the same type of training, and I mean, I'm not like that though. Whenever I would train and stuff like that, I could train all day long, but get me in a competition or a tournament, that first match, I have an adrenaline dump like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just whew, it's just so different.
Mm-hmm.
But in the gym, I can usually train all day. It's just one of those things. I think.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah.
Not really sure. I don't know if it's a competition anxiety. I don't know if it's because if that
There's
first
such a
match
build up to it.
Yeah, if that first match goes fine though, then I'm fine after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but even if that first match, even if I win it, if I didn't win the way I wanted to win, or if I'm more critical of myself, or if I'm like, oh wait, hold on, like, or I feel like they did something to me that I'd been working on, stuff like that. Well, I can't let that happen again. He scored X amount of points on me, or whatever the case may be, and it just doesn't mesh well. But I don't know. When you're loose and you treat it like or if you have that competition mentality, then I guess it's different for everybody. But I just find it interesting. The like you say, it's bridging the gap from that no holds barred era into what I guess, would this be the tough era?
This is just before tough, but
yeah. No, but what I'm saying is, what would you call this era in MMA? It's modern MMA, but I mean, what would you say? You got to give it. I
don't know. We did that podcast with Bubby, and it's like we were calling everything from 2000. What did we say?
Like 2001.
2 or 2001. Yeah. We were calling everything before that NHB.
Yeah.
And we were calling everything after 01, 02 like MMA. We were just calling it MMA. It's obviously not the same as once you get past the Ultimate Fighter, the tough era. Yeah. But the term MMA was being like more used pretty much everywhere. Right, yeah. So we just kind of said, we just like labeled that's going to be our definition of it. But it is like you can divide it into subdivisions in MMA and in NHB even, and it's interesting.
Yeah, because it's right there at the time when, like you said, MMA was coming online. Like people are using that term MMA, where you're having to be that well-rounded guy versus, this jiu-jitsu player is going against this, Muay Thai kickboxer. Like,
What I like seeing it, on the timeline, this is WEC being bought by Zuffa. This is pre-Pride UFC merger. It was a little different. Mm-hmm. You could have these regional and promotional champions that we were still questioning what they were going to do in the UFC. And the cool thing about it was some of them could have been the champion of the in the highest divisions at the time, like Paulo Filho and people like that. And then Chael Sonnen always kind of talks about how we can modernize training, we can do all these different things, but it's fighting on Saturday night. And
yeah,
I just love the way he kind of articulates that.
Yeah, it's interesting that, like you said, like the training is so scientific now, and there's like this, outpouring of science that comes out with, this needs to be your recovery routine. This is how many carbs you need. This is how many, proteins you need a day. Like all that kind of stuff plays into it,
and skipping sessions because you're overtrained. Look at your heart rate and getting your CBC, your complete blood count, and noticing that your levels are significantly off. Hey, you need to dial back a little bit. Back in these days, there wasn't any of that. Yeah. Nobody was doing it. If anybody was doing it, it was like Tito. Tito really was the first guy to really be like that. And I would never point the finger and accuse him of it, but there was rumors that he was blood doping. And blood doping, we're not talking about taking the EPO pill that Dillashaw or whoever got busted for. We're talking about like putting the extraction of the blood, the centrifuge, the putting it in the freezer, and then putting it like back in your body. Mm-hmm. There were rumors that he was doing that, and he was one of those early guys that was making those trips and training for bouts at Big Bear. Remember that? Because he got that from like the boxers. He was good friends with Fernando Vargas. Guys like that. He had Vargas in his corner for a couple fights. Which I thought that was cool. I liked Vargas. He was a good boxer.
He was the one that always had the cigarette.
That's Mayorga.
That's
right. Mayorga. Vargas had the flip up kind of thing in the front, but he had a shaved like rest of his head. Mm-hmm. Pretty good boxer. I don't want to say really good, and then people say, "Oh, there's 50 boxers better than him." But he was really good. I mean, he was fighting for world titles and stuff like that, and was world champ.
Yeah, you're talking about a minute detail between the world champ and the number 10th ranked.
Right.
I mean,
so because this was, we know what this was. This was a squash match.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That's what that was. Yeah. for my pro wrestling fans out there, this was a squash match. Over pretty quick. Not really fulfilling. You can kind of see as they kind of raise my hand. It's not like I'm like, yeah. I'm not even getting jacked about it. I'm like, you wasted my time. Turn my back to the guys. He tries to shake my hand, trying to smile. This is lame. All right, let me go home.
This is the Ultimate Warrior versus the Brooklyn Brawler.
So I got one more for us as a grappling match. I was just thinking of it because I had these blue full contact fighter shorts, and it being the squash match that it was, I was like, oh, there's one more thing that I got here, and it's at this NAGA, as you can see. Oh, just before, so this would be technically what would be like in the training camp period before that bout that we just saw, and NAGA Atlanta. This is like, I think, advanced division, but the guys were not very advanced because I wasn't advanced. I've been training less than a year at this point. Already had 5 fights. And hold on. Cole Miller did a takedown. It's like you don't see that every day.
Shoots the double.
Push, pull, go to the single.
You were pumping those legs, too.
Yeah.
I like it.
Drive. So this guy's wearing some kind of gi pants.
Now, who was in your corner here? Were you here by yourself? Or
I think my coach might have been there, Cam McCarg, but that's it. And I don't even know that these are jiu-jitsu gi pants. They might even be kung fu pants, man. Who knows? Classic gift wrap, chair sit to the back. Oh, but I wasn't very good at maintaining it back then.
2 points.
Whoop. Making a lot of mistakes. You can see that. Like I said, I've been training still like right about a year, maybe a little less. Didn't keep my chest to the tricep. Kind of spun off to a little sloppy. But like that gift wrap, like Micah was talking about how we trained for fighting, like we train grappling for fighting. Like that gift wrap was huge. Turning someone on their side and being able to punch them so they'd belly out to the back. And like we teach that in like our fundamentals when we, show like mount to back mount and how to use it in a self-defense or street environment. I think it's like important to know that type of stuff. But you can like see it in my grappling pretty heavy that there's a lot of MMA influence in, the stuff that we were doing. And this guy, okay, so this guy, this is like the before we were stars or whatever kind of thing. Like I'm still amateur. This guy maybe had a fight or none, but he ends up becoming a pro fighter later on, pretty decent. His name's Eben Oros. He's got, you can see he's got some kind of pants on here. I don't know what martial art that is, Kung Fu or Jeet Kune Do or something, but he's got the circle. The giant black circle tattooed on his chest, and I think that's like a Bruce Lee.
like an Enso circle?
What is that? Is that like the Zanshin circle?
Yeah, well, we use it because it's just a form of art for Buddhism. Like
Okay.
one brush stroke, trying to make a perfect circle with one stroke, and the circle doesn't have to be perfect, but that's the beauty of the art,
Right.
But yeah, it's in a lot of the Zanshin art and everything.
I'm trying to see if I can pull up a photo of him fighting. But I want to say it was like just like the same thickness in the circle all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't lighten up or have a shade in it. See, like that's really bad, obviously.
I got you though.
You
Yeah.
can't really see it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But he ends up becoming like a pro MMA fighter later.
Gotcha.
And we're meeting in this like
He looks a lot more yoked in that picture than he does right now.
yeah.
He's like, this where I stand?
Oh, you're gonna miss it.
It's underhook. You got cement job. Oh, you got spin to his back.
Sloppy.
It's all right. You just
Woo.
eager.
Yeah. all submissions. I never thought about.
Yeah. I think I did that for like 2.5 years.
Yeah. So kind of, that was kind of like a not so good restart, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But I was so wiry. You got the triangle locked the reverse way, and then we're running into these guys, and he just pauses like as I'm crossing the triangle.
Do you feel that wiry now?
No.
That's the thing is I don't feel nothing like I was
Like
at
you
that
used to.
age. And like just the power and explosion that I had and even my flexibility and things like that. But I know me now would kick me then's ass.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just that but if I had that ability still, it was like I don't know where the peak goes from there,
If you had the skills and knowledge you have now in the body that you had then.
It's like certain people peak, their knowledge is on one arc and their physical ability is on another arc, and it's where that point on that grid hits is whether or not you're going to hit that window. And if you don't hit that window, then hey man, you're regulated to being like everybody else.
All right, let's see what happens here in this tough restart for old Eben. All right, go right to scoop in the leg to prevent the slam. He's wiry, too.
I was just about to say the same thing. He's kind of wiry himself, ain't he?
And he's out right here.
Okay.
He's unconscious. But, like, look at his feet. They're, like, flexing. Oh, twitching.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, seizing up.
And the referee is just kind of
Dude,
like,
he don't know.
like he's like, what's going on here,
My
guys?
coach was yelling, he's out.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not good. And he just probably learned that this morning, lifting the legs.
Yeah, and I don't know like why I had this ankle tape on in this match or that MMA fight.
You must have had something going on.
Yeah. And it's bad because you can hear his mom screaming, and I cut it off, but like she runs out on the mat too.
Oh Lord. How old was he?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably my age. It's a tight triangle.
Yeah. Were you squeezing or were you trying to cut the angle?
Cut the angle.
Okay.
I'm squeezing there, but like
Yeah.
I was trying to cut the angle before when I was scooping the leg. Oh, dude. Boom. Oh. I think right after that, I cut it off at a good point. Like, she's like, ah, she's like running out. But I remember, I think that a big reason for my success early on was not only my mindset, but my mindset mixed with constant confidence, and like I knew where I wanted to be, and because I knew that, I competed all the time. And when you compete all the time, you really find out what your bread and butter and your good techniques are, and you do those all the time, and then you perfect those. So that's like my advice to like the young guys that know they want to be a fighter, or they know they want to be a good jiu-jitsu guy. Don't wait. Don't say, I think I should get my blue belt before I compete.
Right.
No, go do it right now. Like maybe get one stripe. Ask your coach if it's okay to compete. Like you got to make sure that you don't injure yourself or others. But if you got kind of a base and you've got your head strong enough and you know that you want to be good at this, go do it right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've gone both ways. I've actually had people come up to me and they're like, "Hey, coach, you want to compete?" And I'm like, well,
not everybody's a competitor.
Yeah,
is what you're getting at.
And it's like, and it's not that I don't think that they have it in them. It's just that I think that there's just some fundamental things that we can fix in class and in 6 weeks, then you will be ready. But when they bring it up in like a week or so, and then they show up and they absolutely surprise the hell out of me. So, but then I've been right, and they've gotten smashed, and I've been wrong on both sides. So it's kind of like you say, if the person feels like they're ready, and like I say, they've got a stripe, or they're, you feel comfortable enough with what you've taught them, then yeah, kind of throw them in there and see what's up.
Yeah, because I've had people too where it's like I want to compete, but like again, like if the coach knows that you might not be safe, you could hurt yourself or somebody else, then the coach needs to pull back the reins.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about those young guys, the go-getters
that
are just like we've had a couple here that aren't even young. We're like some guys that come in, they're 28.
Yeah.
That's not like how I was. That's not 19 or even younger than that. And they train for 2 months.
Yeah.
2 days a week for 2 months. They got 10 sessions in.
Yeah.
And they're ready.
Compete.
And I go, sign up. You know how to tap, right? And they go, yes, sir.
Yep.
And I say, all right, you get in there and you do it. And I've seen some good results for some guys like that, and then I've seen some bad results from guys who've been training 2 years before they do their first comp.
I feel like I was like that. I jumped in, not long after I started training. But there also, back then, there was 3 tournaments a year that came around. So if you didn't do the tournament that was coming around, you're waiting another 9 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty slim. I remember Casa Grossa.
Yeah, because back in this, it was NAGA and Casca Grossa, and they would alternate. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And like they were pretty good at having quarterly, but I think when you were coming up, Casca Grossa had kind of stepped out.
They did, because I remember the tournament. I remember the flyers of the tournament, and I was training. I maybe had been training for like a month or two, and I was like, "Oh, that's badass! I get to wear like trunks and like train and stuff." And I was going to wear the tight ones, and kind of like what you were wearing, and it just kind of, like I said, work came across. I was like, I missed that one, and then I never saw another one of those tournaments again, because NAGA kind of took over.
Yeah, and Grappler's Quest was a primarily West Coast event. They did do South Florida events and New York events too, but primarily they were West Coast. And that was before like the Atlanta-based promotions came in, like Copa and what do we have? We had an AGF here for a minute. That's the guy from Texas. And then there was the Ludador. Yeah.
It was a tight run tournament too.
That was the Alliance crew that run that.
I can't remember who did it, but I heard nothing but good things on that event.
It was a pretty tight run tournament. It was so tight run that people from around here who were training, when we would go to it, like, we didn't know what to do because it was so tight run. And we were used to there's like this little mat over here where everybody's at. This is where you're warming up, and everybody's allowed on the mat, and everybody's screaming, and the AC probably went down, and like you show up there, and there's like a bullpen with mats, and only people who are registered for the tournament are there.
It sounds like the actual evolution of the Rush Cup. The first Rush Cup, it was like everybody on the mat, and then like his last one, Bubby had like a bullpen and like an area for warming up. Yeah. Do you have any footage of you competing?
Yeah, I have some from NAGA 2009 or 10, something like that.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
You got to bring them in.
I think it's on YouTube. Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to come in and do a film sessions on it?
Nah, I don't care. I mean, either way. Yeah. I mean, most of them are wins, I think. But I mean, like,
I can't really remember how many.
Yeah.
Lose count after 500.
The thing is that I had one loss that wasn't put on film that I felt was one of the best matches I've ever had. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, we went, the tournament ran over. Like, it was like 9 o'clock at night, and this is like the 8th match of the day for both of us. And me and this guy didn't meet in the no-gi. We were in different divisions because he was in the advanced no-gi, but the white belt gi. Oh, wow. So, or intermediate no-gi or whatever. And so as we're training, like I guess he wrestled in college or whatnot, but we just went for like the whole mats. Like they basically like cut off the whole mat. So back then when they would do super fights, that's what they would do for the black belts. And we were 2 white belts, and it just we had like 6 mats, and like they were just letting it go, and it was great. And I had so much fun losing in that match that but everybody, all the teammates that were there that had been waiting all day, everybody's phones were dead, and everybody was like put their phones down cheering. And he might have the footage somewhere, I don't know. I'm sure he does.
Have you seen? You're talking about it's like an awesome match that you lost, but it was like really good. Have you seen that match that he turned me on to the other day of Gary Tonon versus Gilbert Burns? Is Polaris?
No, last year's Polaris.
Where are we at on?
I
Where
may
are we
have-
at on time? Where are we at on time? Oh, dude, and these usually run an hour. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Let's pull this up. Let's see. I saw the finish of this match, but I had never seen the match itself, and it's free on YouTube. This thing is awesome. And it's a spoiler. Gilbert Burns, Dorino, who's fighting this weekend or next weekend, he's on a hell of a tear right now. He loses, okay?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, he's fighting Saturday.
Abu Dhabi medalist, jiu-jitsu world champion.
Yeah.
He's a beast, and he loses to Tonon, but he's murking Tonon like the whole time. But I'm equally impressed with both grapplers on this. Really, really cool match to watch. Fucking ads. We are gonna not do that in 480.
Then you'll wait on the buffer.
Awesome double. I just love the aggression.
Which is surprising because usually Tonon's wrestling is kind of what sets him apart on the feet. It's not so much that he's this power wrestler. He just attack.
Yeah, but he is a good wrestler.
He's a very good wrestler. It's just like I say. It's just this. It's almost like he's. I don't know if he missed his calling, but when you look at him wrestle, he's very good. He attacks in chains.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not these power moves. It's not these singles. I mean, when he hits something, and if it's not working, he goes another direction right away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he mixes the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu super
Exactly,
well.
yeah.
And he is from New Jersey, so they have a lot of wrestlers up there. And
Yeah.
so I think that when those guys go to jiu-jitsu, even though he may or may not have wrestled on any level, it's like just through the training, you're going to have to get some if you want to.
I got you.
Yeah.
I noticed that with a lot of the Northeastern like jiu-jitsu guys. Dude, they're good. They're good on the mat as far as wrestling.
Well, wrestling's so much bigger up there too.
Yeah.
Like,
It's catching up down here a lot. That's what I'm so proud of
Yeah.
with Georgia.
Because they're such athletes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But like there's no wasted time. And usually Tonon's the one that pushes the action.
Yeah.
Not today. He sits back kind of sedentary. Boom.
like we talked about when we were going over this, is you'll see throughout this Tonon's ability to regard, like it's incredible. It just
Look at how nonchalant.
I mean, it's so easy for him.
Yeah, he's so calm in
Yeah.
every position.
Just
Look at like kind of goes back to you'll hear Henner and Huron Gracie talk a lot about like their side mount defense, and they're more like you should have nothing but confidence in your guard if you can always get back to your guard.
Right.
It's not to say that you have great retention, but you have a good regarding ability, and Tonon shows that in this. And then there's the other one that and that's kind of more my motto at this point in my life and age where I can still actually get some is I believe more in retention than I believe in escapes. But everybody's got different goals. But like just to see a guy like Tonon who has good both, oh, you passed my guard? No problem. Just going to regard. He breaks the grips, makes sure his hands don't lock, and then just gets it back. It's pretty cool. Bubby likes that roll under off the collar tie and then shoots the single or the double.
These guys weighed in at the same?
Guarino weighed in. He was overweight, I think, by like 3 or 4 pounds.
Okay. It looks like it's not like a 15-pound difference.
Yeah.
They're both 77-kilogram ADCC grapplers,
Right.
but yeah, I don't know the difference in this.
I really feel like jiu-jitsu, we should start representing countries. I think we have
Oh, beautiful.
enough grapplers in Europe, to where when they do these tournaments and stuff like that, you're going, I mean, especially since it's professional jiu-jitsu, then, I mean, we start representing countries instead of,
Individuals?
yeah.
So more like how ADCC kind of does it.
Kind of
but-
does it
but-
with it, yeah.
But add more an Olympic feel to it,
Exactly.
or World Association feel to it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see that too. Just awesome passing
Oh,
from Dorino, man. Like Tonon doesn't have a guard, and then that same regard.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
incredible.
Breaks the grip, turns and face. Kind of a lockdown position here. And Dorino knows not to go forward. Goes backward to pass the guard. With this match specifically, with just how Tonon is playing the butterfly guard and how he's regarding from the side mount, you see a lot of like Marcelo-esque stuff in it. But it's funny because he represents Team Henzo and Danaher, who are the crosstown rival in that area. So it's kind of funny.
I always feel like in those rivalries, it's usually like the blue and purple belts that have the rivalry
Yeah.
more than anything. It's like all the guys who've been training for a long time or whatever like that. They're just kind of like, hey guys,
Yeah.
it's all good training.
So great setup. Common with the hip bump position where you hip bump and they post out and you're just kind of overhanging your overhook over their shoulder or neck, but you're just from a wrestling position.
Like the Elton John glasses that Gordon Ryan had.
Yeah.
And then he does it a second time right there. And then he tried to underhook the leg like he's going to go for that knee bar or something.
Oh, that was nice.
Ooh.
Almost had his back.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Tonon, though. You look at it, the way his hips are always turned. He's always cutting an angle away from his opponent. And if anybody wants to just know, I mean, just solid defense, that's jiu-jitsu 101 right there.
Mm-hmm.
And he never shies away from it.
Yeah. See how upright he is? Tonon isn't rarely that upright. He'll
No, that's what it's odd to see. It's a different kind of match from him.
see. He's usually down like that.
Had they ever grappled before this match against each
I'm
other?
unsure.
I don't know.
Back to wrestling.
Nice.
I like that.
That technical stand up right there. That's just, once again, you don't feel the pressure. Stand up.
Salo and Shanji Hibero are like the best at that. They don't just hit their butt and play guard.
Right.
As the guy's passing, if they don't feel like there's that connection, they'll
Right.
just get back up.
That's the 4 S's that I always talk about. Sweep, submit, stand up, and stall. And stand up's one of them. And I would say 85 to 90% of people grappling in an academy, they don't stand up when they need to, when it's available to them.
That's what I call the third option for the bottom guy: sweep, submit, and stand up.
Right.
I like stall. That's a nice addition. You don't have to play guard. You can get up.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit deeper on that one.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it unorthodox, but it is surprising when somebody's, on their butt, and then all of a sudden your legs are being grapevined. And normally that, when you're on your knees, you're thinking that that's a defense to that, but obviously not with the Donna Hare Death Squad. And Craig Jones is really good at it too. I guess you would consider him part of that camp too now.
Yeah. Classic restart. He was in some shit and then just out on the restart.
Is Tony talking to him? I couldn't tell.
Probably said that was bullshit on that restart.
Yeah.
Probably telling the ref that.
He's probably like, hey man, you're going the wrong way.
That was a great wrestle defense from Tonon. Like that right there. See him catch that right underhook. So we already seen Dorino do real good about wrestling back in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that right underhook just stuffed that right there. Because Dorino had the drop, but Tonon stuffed it with the underhook, got his hips back. It's nice.
That was slick.
So slick.
I've seen this before where Tonon will give his back up, and it's not something that obviously we would be teaching to people and everything like that, but he is like I say, he is a master at escaping and regarding and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Jeff Glover,
Yeah.
except I think Tonon's just a little bit more
More
fundamentally,
physical
yeah,
also. Oh, and that's all she wrote. So,
He was happy with that one.
yeah. So you were talking about giving the back led to this,
Yeah.
or exposing the back. Dorino.
So he's attacking the right leg, and he sees that leg come up,
Now he's got to wrestle.
got the hook, and then he's going to go into, almost purposely go into a referee's position to a whizzer, and then he feels that leg step through.
Feels the weight go too far over the top. And sits back.
Crosses over.
Oh, very nice. So again, I can't recall if this one had points or just a referee decision or sub only, but
I think Polaris was sub only.
well, Dorino waxes him.
Okay.
Like if you look at it though, just like looking at what Dorino did to him in this match,
Oh,
out wrestle,
yeah.
I'm just talking about
Yeah.
bullying him, out wrestled him, passed his guard a bunch.
Yeah.
He wasn't close to a submission at all, but the mobility, the strength, the pressure, the passing, the wrestling, all of it was just Dorino, but you saw how calm, cool, and collected Tonon was. It's like you want to say, man, Dorino's the better grappler. He just got caught. But when I see how efficient Tonon was, he never was out of breath.
Yeah.
He didn't really fight that pass too much. So it was almost like he was content with that, playing this kind of style for this particular set. It's really something to watch.
Yeah, the rule set kind of dictated a little bit different pace to him.
Yeah. Cool. So, thanks for coming in for another film sessions. Anybody else want to drop any knowledge bombs?
Go ahead, Joe.
I got that. I'm just here to learn.
I just think for anybody that wants to see like some real high level jiu-jitsu, that's a great match to watch. I was glad Joe brought that up for me to check out.
Oh yeah, that's fun too. Tonon's just a fun grappler to watch in general.
Yeah.
He makes grappling fun to watch. Oftentimes you get somebody who, and I've been at tournaments where there were big matches going on against two, good black belts or world level black belts, and the match is just extremely boring.
Yeah.
There's a lot of push pulling. There's a lot of
Stalling.
hesitation and stalling, and then, like say, somebody wins by an advantage and they rip their gi open or like flex and run around the ring and their whole team cheers, and it's like, y'all, you're setting jiu-jitsu back almost. I mean, it's boring.
I agree.
Like the kids, like I would like for the kids' parents when they show up to a tournament and they're like, oh, well, these are the two guys that are teaching our children, or these are the two guys these are our coaches, or whatever the case may be, whatever reason why there's two high-level black belts on the mat. I want them to be looking at that match and be like, oh, okay, that's how jiu-jitsu
That's what I want to strive for.
needs to be. Yeah, that's where our children's going to be, levels that they could be reaching.
Mm-hmm. For Georgia's jiu-jitsu right now, I will say this. I've gotten the past couple NFC BJJ tournaments or super fight matches. They've been pretty good. They're on Flow or something like that.
Yeah.
But I've been seeing a lot of good jiu-jitsu out of Georgia lately, and I like that. That I'm not saying it's the perfect setup, but that round they have like 2 rounds, or they go to a third. Or I can't recall.
Like 2 10s or something like that.
Yeah, they do score points, but there's a little bit of differentiation between like the IBJJF and how they do it with the rounds, and kind of like a fight to win, isn't it? Kind of like that.
Wasn't there a tournament years ago where Jacare and Randy Couture and maybe Crone or whatever they did a tournament years ago, and it was a professional grappling league, and they did a round setup like that, or am I wrong?
I don't know.
Yeah,
There's a Randy Couture versus Jacare on YouTube. That's like a 10-minute long match, and I think they had a break in between.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
It's a pretty good match, but especially since Couture being in his mid-40s, just being able to he basically just was trying to stall out Jacare. Jacare was still Jacare. But
that's what I think Chael Sonnen's doing good with the sub underground stuff.
Yeah.
He's actually putting together like really good fights or grappling matches and stuff.
I like it because it's in the cage.
Yeah.
So like, if I was to do something like that, I might even have a wrestling advantage on some guys.
Yeah.
Because I know how to make the wall work for
utilize
me.
the cage.
Yeah.
That's one thing about Chael Sonnen too, is like, I know he's a wrestler his whole life, and he had accolades all through college and nationals and whatnot, but and he'll never admit this, but from a jiu-jitsu standpoint, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty slick. Got some good arm triangle wins, guillotine wins.
Yeah. But like, I've seen footage of him in the gi and him grappling, with his teammates and stuff like that, and he's got a great understanding of just submission wrestling in general, obviously, and but his knowledge as far as jiu-jitsu is pretty advanced, and he'll always credit his wrestling, but he's He's a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
He's like a diehard, like, that's just, like, very Matt Hughes, how Matt Hughes,
Yeah.
like, that's just American wrestling. Like, he's
Yeah.
putting people to sleep and, like, all right.
Yeah.
Way to keep it kayfabe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We be watching. All right. Cool.
All right.
Mic drop.